Texas, a heat dome bakes the state with triple-digit temperatures while other parts of the country are below normal. What's going on?
Courtesy of an upper-level weather pattern called the Omega Block.
Potential hurricanes in the Pacific could threaten Hawaii, while the Atlantic remains unusually quiet.
This is likely going to be the case for at least another week or so.
What impact does the excessive heat have on electric vehicles?
It can shorten the range of an electric vehicle, and it can shorten the life of a traditional battery in a gas combustible engine.
A terrifying confrontation between a father and a bear.
I hit him in his nose, I hit him in his right eye.
And why air pollution standards are changing in one Texas city.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. It may not feel like the dog days of summer where you live, but that's not the case in Texas. A heat dome has the state reaching the hottest temperatures of the summer. Now here's a look at the state capital of Austin this morning. Temperatures here could approach 110 degrees today. It only got that hot a handful of days. Cities like San Antonio and Abilene will also be well over 100 degrees today as well. Excessive heat warnings stretch from across much of the state. And unfortunately, the temperatures will stay near 100 through the weekend. San Antonio meteorologist Chris Suchan helps us better understand this heat dome.
There you can see across the lower 48, really easy to see where the heat dome is located. Oklahoma to Texas with incredibly hot temperatures. In fact, some record heat here. Meantime, rest of the country outside the desert Southwest is much more manageable with those temperatures. Easy to understand why when you look at the pattern. This is the big heat dome, the big ridge of high pressure with the hot temperatures. This is an upper level trough in the northeastern part of the country with cooler temperatures. But when you take a profile look at this big ridge, essentially it's a big mountain in the atmosphere. This one here particularly strong and tall into the atmosphere, and it has sinking air. We call that subsidence, which squashes rain chances, and it really heats up the temperature. In fact, when we take a look at those air molecules, you compress them down to ground level underneath one of these big heat domes. That compression heats the air with the air molecules and cranks that temperature right over 100 degrees here, much like a bicycle pump. If you're pumping those tires here, and as you pump the air pump, you'll notice the tube heats up from the compression of air here. So really the same concept in the atmosphere. That is the heat dome explained.
And take a look at this right here. Austin meteorologist Avery Tomasco checked the temperature of the asphalt yesterday afternoon and then posted it on Facebook. Look at this. It was 148 degrees. The grass wasn't any better, hitting around 145 as well. That can easily and also very quickly burn a dog's paw pads. Now, if you find yourself in this kind of heat, it's best to walk your dog early in the morning and then again after sunset. While Texas bakes this week, other parts of the country are experiencing mild, if not cool temperatures for August. Now, some parts of the Northeast, New England, and the Pacific Northwest will struggle to hit 70 degrees today. As meteorologist Kit Alexander explains, this is all thanks to something called the Omega Block.
From record-breaking heat in Texas to pleasant fall-like conditions in the east, there's a massive difference in temperatures based on location. The weather we have right now is courtesy of an upper-level weather pattern called the Omega Block. The Omega Block gets its name because of the upper-level pattern, which resembles the shape of the Greek letter omega. Due to this stagnant weather pattern, Texas is directly under a massive ridge of high pressure, and the air under this upper-level ridge is compressing and heating. The winds on the eastern side of this high are out of the north and northwest, bringing cooler air from Canada. In some locations, record lows are the result. Unfortunately, the Omega Block weather pattern is a slow-moving weather pattern, and unfortunately, models are suggesting it's going to continue at least for the next several days.
And tracking the tropics this morning, Hawaii is on alert today for a possible tropical storm or hurricane heading in the island's directions. Two disturbances east of Hawaii are expected to merge in the coming days. Once that happens, forecasters will have a better idea if the storm will be a threat to the islands. Hurricane hunters are likely to check it out sometime tomorrow. Meantime, overnight Gilma strengthened into the eastern Pacific's second hurricane of the season. It's not expected to pose really any threat to land at this point. Over in the Atlantic, though, there are no storms in the forecast for at least the next week. Meteorologist Ed Piotrowski explains why the season is moving a little slower than expected.
Now that Ernesto has left the scene, the tropics are a virtual ghost town. You look all the way out toward Africa, and there's no disturbances are developing right now. Most of the time, we get these disturbances to roll off the African coast, and these waves develop south of the Cabo Verde Islands, where the waters are warm, the air is moist, and there's very little wind shear. Over the last week or so, though, these tropical waves have been rolling off the African coast much farther north between the Canary Islands and the Cabo Verde Islands. When they roll off the African coast this far north, they're moving over much cooler waters, and they're also ingesting a tremendous amount of dry, dusty air from the Sahara Desert. So when you've got cool waters and very dry air, tropical waves simply don't develop. This is likely going to be the case for at least another week or so, but as we head into September, things will likely really begin to ramp up. That time period between August 20th and October 10th, about a 50-day period, is when most of our tropical storms, hurricanes, and major hurricanes form. In fact, 2/3 of all hurricanes form between August 20th and October 10th, and nearly 3/4 of all major hurricanes, which are Category 3 or higher. The bottom line, we have a long, long way to go.
And heavy storms moved through Utah on Monday, flooding roads and also taking down trees and power lines. Now residents are cleaning up, and also they are assessing the damage. Amanda Gilbert spoke to one man who says his dream home was almost destroyed when a tree collapsed onto his roof.
This isn't how Bruce Wickersham thought things would end when he was outside right by this tree watching last night's storm come in.
I said, well, I probably should go in. I'm going to get wet.
Good thing he did.
And then that's when it happened, 10 minutes after I left.
Inside his home,
Our smoke alarm went off because there was all kinds of dust in the house.
on this floor, you can see dust on furniture, pieces of the ceiling on the ground, and that's a chimney chute.
And a branch went through both floors. So the downstairs got it as well.
While they were one of the worst hit, they're not the only ones cleaning up.
Yeah, it's been very busy.
Carlos Gutierrez with Adrian's Tree Services says,
We saw a tree laying in a car. We saw a tree laying in a house. We also saw the tree laying in a trailer court.
Meanwhile, for people like Wickersham, it's sad to see this happen to their dream home.
It will be again. Yep. We will fix it because we love it.
But they're grateful to all who've helped with cleanup.
And now this, folks in the Northeast are still cleaning up following those torrential downpours on Sunday and also Monday at the home of an ER nurse. See it there, collapsed after rushing water took out the wooden posts that were actually supporting it. She lost nearly everything. 2 people died in Connecticut after they were washed away in the floods. Up to a foot of rain fell in this part of the state. Also, towns on Long Island, New York, are also picking up the pieces following massive flooding. Homes are damaged or destroyed. Many roads were in ruins as well. A state of emergency has been declared in Suffolk County. There have been more than 1,000 reports of property damage on top of all that. When thunderstorms strike, there's always a risk of falling trees and branches. Sarah McCoy spoke with an arborist about how to prevent this.
Lance Richards, an arborist with Reading Tree Service, said a good indicator that the tree has been rocking is if the ground is swelled up on one side where the turf is not irrigated.
If you're concerned about a particular tree, you might go out and check around the root ball right now and see if it's purged up on one side.
He said cracks in the soil are another sign, and to be checking the location of the branches.
Look for limbs that are hanging a lot lower than they used to hang, because that might tell you there's a crack up there and it's still connected.
Richards said the best advice he can give is safety first.
If there's a tree you're concerned about, don't park your car under it and don't let your children play under it. Stay out from underneath it, especially during the storm.
Richards said to proceed with caution around trees after a storm, and if you have a tree you're concerned about, call an arborist.
Sometimes there's so many trees that come down that we're doing emergency work for a month.
And look at this right here. Here's a look at the Chicago skyline this morning. Later today is day 3 of the Democratic National Convention. It will get underway at the United Center. All of those delegates in the Windy City are looking at a fabulous forecast with partly cloudy skies and a high of 73. Tomorrow, though, will be even better with sunny skies and a high of 77. And looking for more great weather content, you can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how the heat can be a danger to your car. And we'll learn about the invasive beetle wreaking havoc across North America.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have a seasonably cool air mass hanging out in the Northeast today. Look for temps to struggle to get out of the 60s and low 70s. Very unrepresentative of late August, perhaps. Notice this broad upper low pressure center. There it is right there. That's going to promote the development of some clouds and a few scattered showers during the afternoon as we lose the daytime heating. We'll lose some of those showers, but they'll fire up again on Thursday. Our greatest chance for showers Thursday will be in northern New England.
The day begins with plenty of sunshine. As we head into the afternoon, a few showers are possible down into Pennsylvania, but the rain would be very scattered. We start to dry out overnight, and it's looking great on Thursday's high pressure builds over the region. That means a dry forecast with low humidity and plenty of sunshine. This afternoon, temperatures stay below average, reaching the 60s and 70s. Then overnight, expect a cool down as temperatures drop to the 40s, 50s, and the 60s.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. Looking at lower 80s from Nashville over towards Raleigh, 84 in Atlanta as well as Charleston. Mobile a little hotter at 93 degrees, Pensacola 93, and then 93 down in West Palm. It looks like we're seeing plenty of sunshine mixed with clouds across the southeast. We'll get a few showers and thunderstorms popping up across parts of southern portions of Georgia, South Carolina, but in Florida there could be a few afternoon showers and thunderstorms popping up. But areas north of that, enjoy some sun.
Presented by the National Weather Desk.
A time lapse of Monday evening's thunderstorm around Salt Lake City shows how it packed plenty of lightning, illuminating rain shafts as the severe weather moved through. Also in Utah, this photo gives a look at Monday's lightning storm over Antelope Island in the Great Salt Lake. And this sunrise looks delicious enough to eat. Rainbow sherbet colors over Reno, Nevada.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Austin, Texas has been under air quality alerts recently. It's not just ozone pollution that's a problem. Earlier this year, the Environmental Protection Agency tightened restrictions on particle pollution. Meteorologist Chicago Windler has more.
Though we've only had a handful of air quality alerts this year, we had a combined 38 ozone action days in 2022 and 23, the most since records have been kept.
Well, ozone season starts the 1st of March and runs through the end of November every year. And during this time, when the weather starts warming up, you combine that with vehicle emissions, power plant emissions, all of those release VOCs, which is volatile organic compounds. That mixes with the low humidity, the sunshine, and creates ground levels ozone.
Jim Stevens is the executive director of Clean Air Force of Central Texas. Its mission is to educate others on what they can do to reduce air pollution.
Filling your car up in the evening, not during the middle of the day. Don't mow during the middle of the day. Replace your gas-powered yard equipment with electric.
So this is the ozone analyzer?
Ground level ozone, or smog, is measured at this monitoring station operated by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality.
Air is drawn in through those lines. It comes in the back of the instrument. There's an internal pump at the end of the airstream that draws the air in.
Neil Penny with TCEQ's monitoring division says ozone gets talked about the most.
It's collecting a sample 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But fine particulate matter, known as PM 2.5, like dust, dirt, soot, or smoke, is an increasing concern.
Air is drawn in through this sample head at the top. This top piece of the sample head separates out particulate that's PM10 and smaller.
The darker dots on the tape reflect higher particle pollution.
All of that data is used to determine compliance with the National Ambient Air Quality Standards.
New EPA standards are stricter, dropping from 12 micrograms per cubic meter to 9.
The EPA would set a deadline by which the area has to meet the standard that's in violation.
The goal for individuals and industry to make positive changes to ensure cleaner air for our future. In Austin, Texas, I'm Chicago Windler for the National Weather Desk.
And earlier we were telling you about the extreme heat in Texas. The intense heat comes with dangers. Drivers are among those being urged to take precautions, especially those that drive a specific type of vehicle. Jamal Kennedy reports.
Texas AAA regional spokesperson Daniel Armbruster says the heat impact on vehicles, whether traditional, electric, or hybrid, can be serious, and he encourages drivers to be alert and on guard. According to a AAA study, EV drivers can start to see a decline in vehicle range of up to 17% once the temperature gets above 95 degrees. And when it comes to traditional vehicles, Armbruster says the heat can shorten its lifespan.
These extreme summers that we see in central Texas can really have an impact on batteries, and it can shorten the range of an electric vehicle, and it can shorten the life of a traditional battery in a gas combustible engine.
Armbruster says a few things drivers can do to protect their cars from the excessive heat is by either parking them inside a garage or underneath shade. And for EV drivers, Armbruster mentions that charging their vehicles at night can be more beneficial for them as well.
And when it comes to measuring heat outside, there is one unique way to know what the temperature is, and it involves crickets. Meteorologist Jeff Eckstein recently posted about it on Instagram.
It's that time of the year where we hear the sound of crickets at night and into the early morning hours. The question is, can crickets really tell us what the temperature is? They're sort of like a poor man's thermometer. The answer is in their chirp. See, a cricket is an ectotherm, meaning that their body temperature is very dependent on the environment that surrounds it. So these male crickets will flap their wings together real fast at night, and that's the chirp that we hear. It's actually a mating call to attract the female crickets. And it's that chirp that gives us a clue as to what the temperature is. Here's a little formula for you. Count the number of chirps in 15 seconds and add 40. So let's pretend we counted 40 chirps in 15 seconds. We add 40. That would give us a temperature of 80 degrees. Is it exact? No, but it gives you a pretty good estimate of what the temperature is in Fahrenheit.
A beetle known for wiping out ash trees is spreading. The emerald ash borer is from Asia. It has destroyed tens of millions of ash trees in North America since the early 2000s. Allison Guttleburr has more.
Millions of trees dead and many more at risk. The emerald ash borer, a beetle originally from Asia, has been threatening North American ash trees since the early 2000s. The Oregon Department of Agriculture says the species was found in Washington County in 2022. While trying to get a hold of that population, at least 2 more in different counties popped up. The Oregon Department of Forestry says traps helped discover one of the new populations in Marion County.
So it's actually somewhat of a positive situation in the fact that our monitoring efforts are working and we're actually able to see at a large scale where the species is.
ODF says one adult beetle was found in the nearly 200 traps set in Yamhill County. In Clackamas County, samples were sent to a lab to check for the bugs after ash tree canopy decline occurred in July.
A man in California said it was absolutely a terrifying situation when he had no choice but to confront a bear over the weekend to save himself and also his 2 babies. Myra Franco has his story.
Christopher Smith of Fresno says he survived a close call with a bear over the weekend. He believes it was the same bear spotted at a nearby lake. Saturday night, Smith says he heard scratching sounds coming from the back porch door.
When I opened that door and I saw the bear's whole frame taking up the entire back door window, and he ducked down and looked at me, and we made the eye contact. It took all but 2 seconds for me to realize I probably got 10 before he gets through this washer and dryer through the door and to me.
He says at that time, only his 6-month-old baby and toddler were home. He grabbed them and ran out.
The best I could do was try, and I did.
At one point, he says he fell, hurting his foot, all while fighting off the bear with a shovel who was stuck in the laundry room.
Like a baseball bat. There's not a whole lot of room in the beginning of that hallway, so it's kind of a half-cock swing, but it's a swing nonetheless. Got him in the side of the head, and when he knocked the shovel, I I didn't process. I didn't think. I took a step forward. I hit him in his nose. I hit him in his right eye and turned around. Hopefully that dazed him enough where I could grab Colt and get out of the house.
Smith says he somehow put his 2 children in his car and he ran back in looking for his dogs, who made it out alive.
There's not a chance I'm sleeping here again for a long time. Even if that bear gets caught, you know, it's like every time I close my eyes, I relive the situation.
And time now for a short break, but first let's soar over beautiful Montana.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Just a little bit of rain across the Midwest today. Most of us will continue to stay dry. High temperatures in the 70s and 80s for us. As we move into the day tomorrow, we got a little bit of rain there in the northern plains trying to sneak its way down here. But for the most part, we continue to stay dry for your Thursday tomorrow. How about we get it to your Friday? Just a little bit of rain. Most of us still staying dry. A lot of 80s and even some 90s on the map and a few 70s across the northern part of the Midwest.
Good Wednesday morning to you, meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast today across the region. We continue with the heat advisory and an excessive heat warning for really much of the state of Texas. Temperatures into the afternoon, they will be climbing to the 90s to over 100 degrees, a little cooler, 80s for Arkansas and even portions of northern Louisiana. Notice Thursday, another very hot day, although the 80s around Little Rock, but then you get to upper 90s to low 100s from Dallas down to San Antonio on Thursday.
Well, hi there, everybody. It's meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Wednesday looking like it will be a little coolish in the Pacific Northwest. A touch of autumn in August through Seattle and Portland. Highs tamped down just into the 70s there. Versus a toasty 107 out of Las Vegas, 81, plenty warm out of Jackson. And it's all because of this ridge of high pressure. That's our weather maker over Texas and back over Colorado, whereas we've got wet weather pushing into Seattle. And that's the scene from here.